This is from an Alpha X event. I know Dark ByuN played yesterday in the DreamHack qualifier. This is not that set of replays. This is from a previous event. It was actually played in November, so like I said, it is a little bit older. We're just trying to fill some time before the DreamHack event begins. So just killing a little bit of time here with this set of replays. It's the best of 3. And just in case you do end up watching this on YouTube, because typically when we pick replays to cast out, they are intended to go on YouTube. So if you watch this on YouTube, hello, please consider hitting that sub button and the like button. You guys know the drill. It helps us out a bunch. We've had a quiet December on the YouTube and hoping to pick it back up a little bit toward the end of the month here. So if you can do those things, helps us out a whole bunch. I really appreciate it, as we have. In the top right-hand side, our blue Zerg player is Dark. On the red Terran in the bottom left-hand side, ByuN, game 1 of this best of 3. Kick off into this first game then. So we get into Oxide, an interesting map to start on, I guess. ByuN's map pick. Intrigued to see what comes out of this, especially because, like I say, it's a couple weeks older, so it is maybe, you know, we talked about Dark definitely liking to play roaches and stuff, but there is potential that this looks a little bit different from some of the TVZ we've seen recently, just some of the meta that maybe didn't develop quite yet, and some of the things that have been a bit different. ByuN in general has been very good at just being very aggressive, at kind of keeping units on the map, a lot of the bio openings. Dark has been very adamant about playing a lot of roach openers. And we are going to see ByuN opening with a double Rex. Setting up in the main base. So getting that up and ready to begin. As Ovi's going to move forward and is going to get to the front with the reactor building on the racks. So again, this is just going to be the 2-1-1 opening to begin with here. Overlord sending at the front, and we're just going to be seeing our link speed starting from Dark in the main base. Again, that ready to go. Getting that set up. And just going to be seeing our Overlords coming on through. Had the audio turned down a little bit, so sorry for that. Some of the game sounds just a little bit quieter initially. So there's our roach run from Dark, and this is way earlier than usual. So when you talk about Dark roaches, it's like 3:30 in the game typically. This is a 2:30 or earlier roach run, right? 40-second build time, finished at 3, so it's a 2:20 roach run. Pretty much one of the faster roach attacks you can go for here. Going to be about 5 roaches, maybe 6 or so, and then you go into the Ling follow-up. Just waiting for some lava to pop, and you can start up all of those roaches now. So the only issue with this for ByuN is he goes into this non-Reaper 2-on-1. So that typically gives you more Marines to help you push with when you go for the attack. But it means you don't have the scouting information, so you're very blind to what's going on. And this attack's going to hit early enough that with the Lings in front especially, it's going to be tough to really have anything to shut this down. There's going to be no bunker here. Yes, the Marine count is good, but if that Marine count gets surrounded by Lings and roaches get on top of it, it can be extremely problematic because this should still hit before Stim. And it should still hit before there's any medevacs and healing out. Is the pure Marine count going to be enough? I mean, obviously you can pull a few SCVs to help out. And that will be critical, I think. A few of these SCVs getting in front, stopping the Lynx around. One's going to come in. I mean, they've been very active at the front, just kind of checking in on what's happening. Of course, the game ByuN zero vision of this before it arrives. There's the Lynx coming through and just going to be having the Roaches showing up. So Roach is coming in here, and the first Marine's in a little bit of trouble, already taking some damage. A Ravager is going to go down in the corner as well, and just going to be seeing our Marines and our SCVs continuing to push this away. Dark with the Lings continuing forward. A Ravager finishes up here as well. A Burst of Battle going down, and just going to be seeing the Lings and Roaches still coming through. I mean, the Marine count's not taking many hits, and that's my problem. The Marine count is staying very strong right now. Just going to see 8 SCVs dropping in total, and I mean, that's decent damage, but Dark is obviously way down on the work account anyway. He just didn't really hit properly. I mean, 9 Marines, and now you're up against Stim Marines with pure Roach Ravager Ling. it's not really ideal. I say, look, Roach Ravager Ling. It's only Lings at the moment, so if you want to make Roaches, that's an investment all over again to help you defend. Yeah, ByuN has obviously held this off well, and it all comes down to those Marines. The SCV's got in front. The Marines never really went down, and if you're not losing Marines fast enough, that's going to be powerful. I actually think because ByuN skips the Reaper as well, it powers this up even more, right? So yes, he doesn't know it's coming, but even more Marines ready sooner really means that despite it being such an early attack from Dark, you just have that Marine count to go up against it. Lings out the front. Combat shield is on the way through. +1 attack is starting on the engineering bay. And our medvacs from ByuN are going to load up and start to head across to the upper right side. So off and away to start putting up some pressure. Lings of Dark are going to knock on the front door, and I mean, that would be scarier if this wasn't a full wall off, if there's anything to actually guarantee a bust down. Now you're just going to get across the map with these medevacs. They're going to unload, and you're going to see this first Overlord going down. So Overlord is going to drop. Dark is going to get momentarily supply blocked, and now the medevacs into the main base, but the Queens are there to deflect these as well, so we'll turn that around. And just going to be seeing our combat shield about to finish. +1 attack's about halfway done. And the 3rd CC setting up at the front from ByuN as well. Getting this ready to rumble. So 3rd CC coming through. As we just have. I mean, ByuN's obviously in a pretty comfortable spot as these Marines should trade pretty well. And with just extra Marines and medevacs on the way, I think we get to a point even where Dark is going to be in a lot of trouble. Right, if 2 more medevacs show up, or even just 1 more medevac with tanks, I mean, this is going to be very difficult. You get tanks over here, and you got a 3rd base that just can't really be protected. Roaches are going to take a big beating to that, so yeah, I'm not sure that's going to be great. The Marines actually drop back into the main. I thought they would go to the left side with the tanks, moving in that direction too, but honestly, it's working out. He's going to get all of the Queens. The drones are going to start dropping, and then, yeah, I mean, this push on its own can just kind of make stuff happen. Everything is in the main base right now, defending from Dark, as we are going to see GG, and ByuN is going to pick up the first game of this best of 3 series. So ByuN is going to start off with a win. Obviously, the attack of Dark is not really that successful to begin with. Bottom right corner of the map, our blue Zerg player here from Dragon, Phoenix Gaming, give it up if you're cheering on Dark. Against the Red Terran in the top left-hand side, who does open 1-0 in the series. This is ByuN. So again, just a little bit of filler content here as we'll cast this series. We'll go into the DreamHack Last Chance event qualifier. That's going to be a fun few games. I mean, we'll probably follow one section of the bracket. The other day in the European section, we did 3 best of 3s and 2 best of 5s. I imagine we'll do something similar tonight. It's going to be a pretty late cast. We'll see how far we get and how we're doing. If we get a bit tired, maybe we'll pass the torch on to somebody else to lead the charge forward. But again, that is the general plan of action for this evening. Bit of a late night cast for you all in the wonderful world of StarCraft 2. So Death Aura. For our second map, we're going to be seeing the racks coming down. It's a command center first opening. It's already ByuN opening in a little bit of a different way once again, right? Keeping it interesting, keeping it different in these early stages. Going to be seeing a couple of refineries coming through, getting this set up, and just going to be seeing that hatch finishing up on the natural expansion. Overlord is out the front. Obviously, you go to racks here because you go CC first. This is a build that typically kind of comes around quite frequently. So second rack's going to move back. Tech Lab is going to start. And we're just going to be seeing our ByuN setup looking good. Now what's coming in from Dark here? Link speed is starting up already. And otherwise pretty standard. We'll see if he wants to go for that Dark Warren. I want to call it the Dark Warren because it really is the Rotor on the Dark builds frequently, around 330 or so. Link's coming in. A couple of Marines get there to be a little bit aggressive. Stim is on the way up. And the factory about to finish from ByuN in the main base, so that'll be completing it again. It's just a 2-1-1 setup, same as before. He'll get a lot of Marines out of this as well. As we do see the few Lings just out and around in the center here a little bit. 5 extra drones on the way up, so getting those built, and they're going to go down to the natural expansion. Extractor into the main base, moving around too. I mean, this is really just going to become a question of how does Dark approach the defense against the 2-1-1. So that's what we've got our eyes open for here as a few Lings arrive, and that's maybe a killed depot. Forces a cancel. Nice little win. Doesn't cost him much, and he's going to go in to do it again. Just trying to slow ByuN's build down, right? I mean, if that depot's not finished on time, mini supply block, and little things definitely do affect the Terran build orders quite heavily a lot of the time, as we do have Stim about halfway done. And there's the Rotor, and so, again, Dark just likes to play the Roaches early. This isn't even the Rotor he usually builds. Sometimes he goes 330 or so. It's just going to be seen out there on the way up in the main base. A few Lings getting to see what's coming in. Now, with the lag coming up nice and quick, you can just get Roach speed off this, right? And then you can play into those Roaches into the mid-game, and you can get the Roach setup as well to be pretty strong against the initial Marine attack. The Roaches are pretty sturdy against 2-1-1 build orders. The biggest problem with the Roaches is, of course, the immobility. The lack of, being able to move those Roaches around means that the drop play can become very effective. So you've got to be very good at splitting up your units and handling that, of course. Otherwise, you become, things do become a little bit problematic. Here go the two medevacs out down to the bottom right-hand side. Medevacs unloaded, Marines getting set to go. Roach speed is building from Dark in the back of the natural. And you have Roaches coming through. Going to pick off a Marine. And just going to be having our Overseer finishing over on that left side. So he's going to be able to scout this a little bit as well. Just check to see what the follow-up is, right? Seeing when the third CC starts is very important. He's going to see it's the third racks before 3 CC, so then you know there's quite a bit of aggression coming your way as Dark. You know that this is definitely going to be the tank push at some point here. So again, just maybe changes the amount of drones you build up. Marines and medevacs out over the right side. Couple Evo chambers finishing up from Dark on the front. That's an Overlord. It's a nice catch, and just going to be seeing the IM+1 attack upgrade, the combat shield all finishing up as well. 1-1 missile upgrades coming in. The Roach speed about to complete. We do have Roaches and Ravages out the front lines. You're going to have some Creep Teamers pressing forward as well. And the Marines try and chase down the Overseer, which is going to get hunted and killed. So, get rid of the Overseer. Dark is going to hit a supply block from it, well on his way toward 1-1 upgrades. As ByuN just has that fast +1 finishing again when you're committing to this larger attack initially. A single engineering bay and an upgrade makes a lot of sense. He's not bringing the tanks across the map, though, ByuN. So, he's not comfortable committing fully into this aggression just yet. Dark really is all in on the Roach play. Tunneling Claws, Burrow. He's going to bring the Roach harassment game into play here on Death Aura. ByuN doing well with these Marines. I like what he's doing. He's moving around. He's finding openings, right? Getting on top of Ravages, for example, is a pretty good way to kind of pick things off and to find value with these Marines. In the end, though, Dark microed those Ravages well on creep, move them around properly. I'm just going to be seeing the Marines unloading back up to the high ground. Curse of Viles nearly strike, but just about dodged. The 1-1 Roach time is going to be a bit scary. I mean, there is a good siege tank count, so that's obviously big, but if these Roaches get burrowed up in different places and ByuN doesn't have preparations for that with a missile turret or so, then you're in a lot of trouble. Because then all of a sudden, if these Roaches start popping in the natural and the main, your tanks are out of position, and that's when the units have to go elsewhere, then your tanks are left alone, and the rest of the Roach Ravager swarm can maybe just take down the front line. This is very harassment focused from Dark, dropping down a Nidus network into the natural expansion as well. So Nidus network on the way up. As Marines will shoot down and finish up an Overseer, so that gets shot down already. Roaches will make their way up around the top side, and they're going to come through, burrowing into the entryway here. As you don't see Marines, tanks, all of this setting up. The Roach is just going to get straight in. This is absolutely the problem I was talking about. And even worse is ByuN just now decides to move out, so going to be Roaches in every mineral line that you've got to go and deal with. And nothing at home immediately to defend this. The tanks actually get sent back. And as the Marines find their way into the third, I think he realizes, like, where's this army? So he sent the tanks back to help out, but the SCVs are already dropping down dead, and the Roach harassment is working wonders. Now you've got a Nidus, so you can even reinforce across the map quickly. And again, it's just all-out aggression from Dark here with the wrong one Roaches. He will go 2-2. He will look for a future in the game with the Roaches as well. As the Nidus finishes up, the Roach Ravager is already forced under siege of tanks. And yeah, now more Roaches pour out of that Nidus Worm. Roach is going to burrow forward at the front. Turret is done, so you're going to take some damage off the tanks. Now the Roaches on burrows, they get further forward. They're going to try and get rid of the tanks. It's a bit of a massacre. Dark losing a lot of units. Okay, well, this actually went a little bit better for ByuN. Actually does get a lot of unit kills here, but he's lost 26 SCVs already. However, he's still only behind by about 11. Impressive SCV production to keep that going. Now the Roaches get back in on the front lines, though, and the tank count disappearing a little bit. Opening pathways for Dark to get back into this game at the moment. Oh, I keep dealing damage in this game. Nidus on the front lines on the third base now, and there's no tank coverage down here, so it's going to be difficult to really stop the continued Roach Ravager efforts as we see SCVs pulled in once again. ByuN knowing he needs to keep the Marines alive, and to do that, he needs the SCVs to tank for them. He kills off the Nidus, but in that few moments, he loses a lot of the Marines, and now he's losing even more SCVs. 52 workers killed on the left side of your screen. Yeah, maybe the Nidus is going down, but there's still the Nidus in the main base, so that's going to come through, and Roaches are going to show up once again. Now, Roach is just kind of winning fights on all sides now. +2 attack just finished, so maybe ByuN can do something with that, but it may just be too little, too late. I just feel like ByuN wasn't quite ready for how aggressive Dark wanted to be. He wasn't ready for how quickly the burrowed Roaches came into the game. GG is called, and Dark is going to win out. Game number 2 of this best of 3 series. GG's, and Dark ties us up 1-1 in our matchup. Welcome back. We're going to jump into game 3 of a Dark ByuN series. Get this set up and ready to begin. Just be quiet as this game loads. Lack of music in the background is a little bit haunting. Oh, that's because I actually just didn't turn the sounds on. Duh. Stupid Wardy. These things happen though. Alright, let's dive in game as we go up to the upper right hand side, sorry. Our blue Zerg player from Dragon Phoenix Gaming. This is Dark. And in the bottom left hand side, our red Terran player, it's ByuN. Ooh, ByuN gonna well, not proxy, but he's gonna Reaper, isn't he? Gonna go for a few Reapers on the front lines to get this underway. Max sets up. Let's get the racks up and running. Going to be seeing the Overlords of Dark heading down through the center. And we do have the multiple racks coming in. So yeah, this is typically going to be Reapers. We'll see if he goes 3 racks Reaper. Something that, I mean, for this being an older series is obviously now kind of showing a little bit. Because this ByuN was enjoying doing quite a bit for a while. So yeah, has been enjoying doing this for quite some time. But then really kind of stopped doing it as much. Mixes it in now and again. Interested to see how well it can do here against Dark. I mean, of course, ByuN is the god of Reapers, right? We know how much he loves them. Overlord heading down to the bottom left side. There's Reaper. Just going to be heading up to the upper right. So Reaper's going to start heading across. Third rack's about to finish up. This drone is going to be coming up to build a third hatch. Now, of course, Dog is really just blind to this because he's also moved into the main with the Overlords. He didn't even get to see the front line being the Reapers, and now he knows there's no barracks here. He probably realizes what's up. The speed of that third hatch would not really help him, so he's not going to build it. And he is just going to probably go into Queens and extra lings and making sure he has the numbers needed here. As the Reapers will start a fight. He's going to go for the Roach-Roaring, so that's going to be his way to try and play around this. Like, yes, no surprise. Dark playing a Roach-Roaring defense. Whoa. Shock. Horror. No real surprises at all, as you do have our Roach-Roarings about halfway done. And just going to be seeing our extra Reapers continuing in. The Reapers already looking up, just checking there's no third hatch on the way. So obviously the two ways you kind of usually defend this is the Ling speed and then the... and then either that or the Roaches. Now, the Roaches are a little bit more sturdy, but they can be obviously more expensive and a bit longer to get into, so it can be a little bit troublesome initially. And you can still do well against Roaches as well. The Reapers can obviously pick away at them from a distance and obviously do pretty well at kind of popping them up in the skies. Typically, you will want to go into some Ravagers to help out. He loses one Reaper, but he gets a Queen. Loses a second Reaper, though. I'd say that's actually kind of unlike ByuN not to be pulling Reapers back on low HP, and again loses another. Like I say, I mean, I only say this because it's ByuN, and we expect ByuN to be really good with these, and we know ByuN can be better. I mean, it was great anyway, but losing 4 Reapers, now you lose a lot of your momentum, and now you can't fight Roaches as easily. There's going to be seeing our factory on the way up in the main base. Again, that start, our command center on the natural is going to be done soon with the bunker on the way up as well. I'm just going to be seeing our Reapers trying to push these Roaches back. A couple of Ravagers already morphing. And, yeah. Game settles down. ByuN's already going to start moving away from Reaper production into Marines. I think if he'd actually kept some more Reapers alive, he might stick on Reaper production for a while longer and continue to mass up. But I do think he realizes as well here that his moment is perhaps already passing by. Tech Lab sets up from factory in the main base. Starport on the way in the main as well. Tech Lab on one of these barracks. The other one will build, well, the other two will build reactors at the front. The Tech Lab is something you obviously want away from the front. If you lose a reactor, that's frustrating, but losing a Tech Lab can be game-ending because of the fact you lose the stim pack or whatever upgrade is coming through there. 2 more bunkers going down as we do have SCVs running away, and just going to have our Reapers in the center as well. The hatchery on the top. Third hatch coming into play. It's going to be seeing our Reapers still setting up a little bit as our starport completes. And Tech Lab coming through on the factory. Starport on the Tech Lab too. I don't mind a Banshee or 2 here even, just to be safe and sure. There's going to be a Banshee, right? He's not going to do something super weird like build a Raven. That would be really kind of out there and ridiculous. Done. There's going to be a Banshee. That makes sense. You've seen Roaches early. It's going to give you that extra layer of safety just in case those Roaches decide to be extremely aggressive. Like I say, makes a lot of sense, I think. Definitely is a decent way to go about things. Still has the Reapers, and while they don't have as much use later in this game, they can still be used for some pretty good activity around the map. Is back down the left-hand side. There's the Carapace, and there's the Roach Speed coming up as well. A couple of extra drones coming through. An Engineer base still on the way in from ByuN. There's our stim packs on the way in the main. Really just full transition into Bio, while Dark goes full comfortable transition into Roaches. Again, we know that that's how he oftentimes likes to play anyway into the mid-game. And we'll see exactly the approach he takes, whether he wants to go into those tunneling claws and burrow again. Obviously, last game was like hyper-aggressive all the way throughout. This game may be a bit of a different approach, something a little bit more macro-focused. There's that one Banshee. Obviously, the Roaches never showed up aggressively, so it's going to put itself into use a little bit on its own offense. No cloak on the way or anything, so it's very limited what it can do, and the coverage is pretty good from Dark, so no opportunities just yet, but we'll leave it up in the corner. Maybe finds a chance to do something. Maybe if this base comes in at some point, right, you can get a few drones over here. Just worth keeping that Banshee alive for the opportunities a little bit later, I'd imagine. And she's still hanging around in the upper left. We do see this orbital is going to move forward and is going to land out the front as well. As our missile upgrades are going to be finishing shortly. We have the 1-1 attack and armor upgrades on the engineering base also. So all of this coming through with a 4th hatch from Dark out the front. And that creep spread. Just pressing through the center. A little bit of creep up to the top side as well. Queens, I'm going to get here and start deal some damage to the Banshee. So Banshee already taking a few shots of damage. Hydroden's just passing, being halfway done. The infestation pit's behind the mineral line. So it really is just a very different style from Dark. Why I imagine he's just going to switch straight up into Ward Lurkers here. He actually transitions off the Roaches nicely because you already have the missile upgrades, and the Roach Ravage can be pretty good at kind of being sturdy initially, so you don't really die to pushes as you transition to those Lurkers. And that is exactly the plan. Lurker Den and the Hive on the way at the same time as Roaches and Ravages come through. Marine's going to push this back out, being pushed back out down the right-hand side. The Marines and Medevacs continue to join up, and we do just have the tank shot is good to get rid of the changelings. Pretty passive game, right? I mean, I know we have the Reapers early, and we've got ByuN trying to move around, but otherwise not really. I guess maybe passive's not the word, but low damage game. Like, yes, you know, the Reapers did some trade outs early, but other than that, neither player really losing much, and both of them are going to be allowed to play up into their later stages. What is interesting is the Lurker Den is obviously about to finish up here from Dark. He, for a moment, was only on 66 drones. Now he's gone to 76. That's a little bit better. As the Marine's going to fly by, and into the main base we go. Drone's already in some trouble as the Roaches show up. Marines are going to stim. And the Roaches going to start taking a few shots of damage. Hive finishes in the main base. I mean, that's good information for ByuN, at least, as he'll go down over here. He'll lose one medevac, unfortunately. Not much to be done about that. But yeah, ByuN at least knowing what he's up against, as ByuN is doing the typical ByuN thing of forgetting to start +2 attack. For whatever reason, he always starts armor first, and sometimes if you don't start both the upgrades, then, well, you're going to miss the upgrade that's the most important. Good battles on the tanks, and ByuN is getting pushed back big time. As Dark maxes out, he might be able to make a Roach Ravager push now and test his look, while transitioning into Lurkers as he trades out the units. There's not a lot out, really, from ByuN at the moment. I think there's maybe a possibility, of course, hard for Dark to identify that than it is for us, so that may be part of the reason he doesn't commit into this. Plus, I like that there's double factory, pumping out tanks to help hold positions against Lurkers just running into you. There's definitely something that will help out a lot. But the next step really would be Ghosts, and something a little bit more, you know, proper to answer those Lurkers, a little bit more effective of answering those Lurkers in a longer game, which is where it seems like we're going right now. Obviously, even Ghosts against those Vipers can be very useful as well. So about the side, couple of depots going down. Marines trying to drop into the top left. Corrosive Bars are dropping in. And the Nidus network on the front here from Dark as well, with the Ghost Academy of ByuN into the main base. Banshee that shows back up is just going to get Corrosive Bar down. I'm not sure that ByuN is really too bothered. Not really much opportunity. Again, maybe could have found a little bit over there, but he knows about the base, which is still some info that he picks up on as Dark just slowly trading out Roaches and again replacing them with Hydras and then into Lurkers. Nidus network about to be done to add some extra aggression into this. Couple scans up on the top right-hand side. Seismic plans coming in. Just going to be seeing our Ravages around the right and a few Roaches out down the bottom. I'm just taking some hits from the tanks as you do have the command center going to be shot down right there. So that's a little bit of a cancel. Marines are coming through and going to chase those Roaches down the bottom side. As ByuN finishes +2 attack, you can set up into 3-3. And obviously there are the ghosts that I was sort of talking about previously. Something that we wanted to kind of see being added on here. And now we are getting to see them. It's going to show up. Once they're coming in. Medevac coming up the left-hand side. 3-3 upgrades on the way through from Dark, as mentioned, and he just takes every single base he has access to. This is where it typically starts to feel very scary for the Terran player, especially when the Zerg is the one that can be so aggressive. You get those lurkers into aggressive positions, and you really got to be careful, because you can't give up. You know, if you give up a major position right now, these lurkers are going to be impossible to deal with, so you got to be very careful about it. Tank fire is good. We see the Marines unloading top left-hand side. They're going to show up for a little bit of drone damage, because there's a few drones already mining there. Hydra's on the way to deal with this, and ByuN typically is very good at paying attention. Tanks going down. Lurk's going to unburrow and continue to push forward. Blinding Cloud going down. We do have the ghosts. He's going to try and line up. I mean, abduct in as well, so the siege tanks continue to fall. These ghosts struggling to find the snipes on the lurkers. As we will now get in here, and a couple of these lurkers do get shot down. 6 SCVs falling apart here as a whole bunch of extra Hydras. New lurkers on the way. We do have ByuN is, well, for the moment, ByuN is, surviving on 4 bases. He is about to get a 5th command center available, but it's an orbital that would float down here. And Dark has been trading ineffectively. Oh, sorry, Dark's been trading beautifully well. Wow, I actually didn't realize quite how well the Dark income graph and hence the army supply graph as well have been going. Yeah, because I was kind of thinking about this trade here, but I guess if you add up the trades from earlier, these losses from ByuN, like this one obviously wasn't pretty for Dark. But the losses earlier for ByuN really added up. Sorry, I thought the resources loss was going to be a little bit different than that initially. Yeah, I guess I negated or neglected the earlier fights. They maybe don't matter so much if ByuN can really stabilize and start to really trade well from here on out. Ghost snipes coming down, a couple of lurkers getting picked away out. We can just see an EMP on the Vipers. Now some snipes on Vipers too. I mean, you lose some ghosts in this process. You got a couple of the Vipers at least. Nidus attempting the main base is going to be shot down, so a moment or two from ByuN. One lurker gets out. How much of a problem will that become as a natural Nidus sets up as well? You don't have high ground vision here, so it's actually going to be just a free couple of snipes that you can get rid of a lurker with. There's one lurker in the background. Scan, apparently not available. So that's a bit annoying. And now in the Nitro expansion, more lurkers popping out as well. Gets rid of this lurker as well. 10 more building up on the top side of the map. 11 more on the way out. Baneling speed coming through as well. All of these extra ghosts on the way out. I'm just seeing some of these ghosts continue to settle down. And on the top left of this base, lurker shot still firing, and the bio moving forward now is going to get rid of a lurker. So that lurker goes down already. Plenty more on the way across the map. I mean, that feels like the problem. ByuN just takes so long to clean up any of this pressure in his main base and so on that it's very difficult for him to then be ready to kind of deal with the larger forces built up from Dark. Dark has got bases everywhere. He's even taken ByuN's bases. And the fact that ByuN's just stuck on 4 bases is one of the bigger issues, right? He's never made it away from 4 bases. Lurker is still in range of this building command center, so I'm not sure what the plan is here for ByuN. Is CC is eventually going to go down unless you get rid of this lurker, which you'll line up snipes to do so with. So he saves the command center now at least. CC's coming in, +3 attack, about to finish on the engineering base. And do you see our lurker Baneling force coming down the bottom right? I mean, feels like he's just going to jump at any given moment. Let's see how he goes. He comes on top of the first couple of tanks here. Lurkers get burrowed, and it feels as though ByuN doesn't really have much of a way to fight this at all. He's trying to get rid of more of these lurkers. I mean, some of the snipes going off, and he's he's doing okay with it. I mean, he's doing better than you might expect. Another Knight is attempted into the main. Resources lost has even now. It's like I say, if ByuN can hold on, you know, that resources lost will start to turn in his favor. The problem is, resources lost turning in your favor doesn't matter if you're never mining anything. And that's the current issue, is that you're not mining off 5 bases. If you're not mining off 5 bases, efficiency doesn't matter in the slightest. And that's the big problem we're seeing now is Ling's Banes running from the bottom right-hand side. Some tank shots are firing away. Tank's going to get blown up by the Banes. We're going to see more Banes morphing in over on the left side of this. And they are going to rally down into this mineral line as well. We got these tanks here. This tank's very well protected. I think it's walled in by everything. Let's see if these Banes can do much as Dark continues the aggression, continues to try and shut down economy. Things, Bane's rolling down, a couple of tanks getting cleaned out. SPs are gonna get into some trouble. The Knight is in the main. Huge problem here is he's just gonna start killing off production, so ByuN's gonna have to find a way to clean that up. He has to go and deal with that as he's obviously lost a few SCVs. Not too many, I mean, obviously a lot of the setup over here is now on fire and burning down, but I mean, at the very least it could have been worse as the snipes now do come through, and he will get the cleanup in the end. The lurkers are killed at least. And he is getting a base down the bottom right-hand side. We'll see if Dark can shut this off from mining. The thing, I guess the thing is, I've been talking a lot about getting 5 bases here as ByuN, but I think the reality is that getting 5 bases maybe not enough anymore, because you're talking about 8 bases of Dark. So now you need to start talking about this base as well, at the very least, and then some very good trades. Again, those trades have been going better for Dark recently. Resources lost 26 to 21.5k now. It was 16 to 16k before. But of course, Dark's trading like this because he knows he has the economy to rebuild with. These Banes don't really connect, so that's a better trade for ByuN. Dark still has the money to make things happen here. And again, he's breaking down the setups that are defending these bases very easily, so the future attacks of Dark are only going to be more effective. He loses a lot in this attack, mind you. And his army supply drops significantly, and if there's a way for ByuN to win this game, it's off of a couple of reckless fights like this, and maybe being able to turn this into something of a push across the map. Because right now, Dark is going to start losing every one of his lurkers. I mean, these ghosts are very nearly all going down too, which is going to slow down the lurker shutdown. I mean, how many lurkers are left on the map? This one, that's it. So there's a little bit of a lurker issue, but the problem is, where do you even go first as ByuN? If you go left side, Dark gives it up and just builds up on the right, counterattacks. If you go right side, Dark just gives up a base. He doesn't need that base. He builds on the left. And that's the thing, even when you come out of a one fight here as ByuN, where do you go to really put the pressure on Dark to, you know, to make something happen, to make the next part of this work for you? And that's really difficult, as we do see the Lib sieging up. The Hydra's in some trouble as they get rid of that Liberator. Now some Ling Bane going to move down the bottom right. And tank shots are good onto the Banelings here. They're going to connect in. This Planetary Fortress will fall. Planetary goes down, the Ego's pressing forward, the Spore getting picked up way at. Ghost in a bit of trouble, the rest of the Lings streaming in. We got the lurking shots down, the Ghost is absolutely massive as well. Hydra's going to try and make their way up here. The Ghosts will continue to fight, and the Hydra's still in some trouble, but not enough trouble for it to be bad. And we just see Dark continuing to rally down to the bottom side. And so it looks morphing, the more Banes coming out. Overseer sat overhead and just going to be seeing these lurkers still firing up a storm into this low ground position. A few more shots coming down, snipes going in. Tanks will siege and firing a little bit further. A few more SCVs dropping on the left-hand side. Lings will run forward, and that's an orbital command. About to drop down dead here as well. Even more Zerglings still in a lot of trouble. Yeah, a massacre really across the map. Banes are going to come through, and they're just actually going to connect on Ghosts. They don't quite get the kills, and well, then you're going to try and run in here with Marines, which is not going to work either. Dark had a real pulled a handle on this game for a long time. It just took a while to really finish ByuN off and to really get him out of this game. But he gets there in the end. GG is called. And Dark is going to win it 2-1 in this best of 3 series. How about that? GG's. Dark 2-1 over ByuN in this little matchup we cast you today from an Alpha X event.